It had all the trappings of a tabloid blockbuster, celebrity, drugs, and illicit affair. But as stunning as the National Enquirer's claims about Philip Seymour Hoffman were, it was even more remarkable how quickly the story unraveled. Days after the actor Philip Seymour Hoffman died of a drug overdose, the National Enquirer thought it landed the scoop of the year. The father of three had a secret lover, screenwriter David Katz, and the two frequently did drugs together. The source? None other than Katz himself. But if Hoffman's double life was news to everyone, it was news to Katz, too.
My initial reaction was ludicrous. That when I saw when my son first saw something and told me that it was like, oh, that saying Phil and I are lovers, I was like, all right, Phil would have gotten a kick out of that.
Katz might have laughed it off, but others didn't. Probably because the Enquirer has a history of salacious exposés, from Jesse Jackson's love child to John Edwards' dalliance with a campaign aide. Katz stopped laughing as the story gained steam.
And then when it blew up, and I was like, this is now becoming this story, and I was being chased by photographers, and it became a thing where I unfortunately had to deal with in the midst of dealing with more important things.
Katz dropped a $50 million libel suit on the Enquirer, and faster than you can say, see you in court, the tabloid issued a full retraction and apology, claiming it was duped by someone claiming to be David Katz. The settlement amount remains secret, but a tantalizing clue came this week in a full-page ad announcing the creation of a new theater foundation in honor of Hoffman, funded by the Enquirer. So how much was that payout? Inquiring minds want to know. So actually, this afternoon, the toxicology report came out on Philip Seymour Hoffman, and of course it was accidental overdose that killed him. But this is fascinating. This happened so quickly. But you really wonder, they say it was a senior writer. Did he really talk to somebody? Did he make it up? Because the lawyer for the real David Katz says he's going to find this other guy and make sure that he doesn't have a pair of shoes to walk in. So if there really was somebody who made it up, and who could think that quickly on their feet? If somebody just blind called him and said, are you David Katz? He says yes, and they start asking him questions, and they make that whole thing up on the fly? There's something else fishy here.
That's a very good point. I hadn't thought of that because, how quickly can you react when you get a call like that? I also think, there's some real public service going on here because we're letting people know the National Enquirer may not be entirely reliable. Now, the Enquirer has gotten some big scoops right over the years, but a lot of times it's like they're just sort of flinging stuff against the wall and hoping it will stick. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And the other thing that gets sort of pulled into this is their practice of paying sources. Now, you might say that they pay sources and make them sign a statement that says this is absolutely accurate. Maybe that helps accuracy, but if you want the money badly enough, maybe there's a lot of things you'll say.
Well, this was absolutely revolting. I mean, right on to this guy for immediately coming in with all his guns blazing. I'd also like to see some punitive action taken against all of the other news organizations that repeated this vile garbage. Radar Online, I believe, picked up the story. I imagine a number of other websites did too. I'd like to see their pockets turned inside out and the contents deposited in this fund to help playwrights. I mean, I think any halfway intelligent news consumer knows that when you look at the National Enquirer, there's a presumption that it's garbage and falsehood. And perhaps over time it might be proven to be true once in a while, but you have to have that presumption. And I've argued it before, I'll say it again, I think you have to apply that same presumption to just about everything you see on the Internet that isn't directly tied to a reputable news organization, and even sometimes stuff that is.
This was revolting, and this really gets to the point where you do hope that that the end result is that that Katz owns the National Enquirer and then shuts it down. But I think your point, Dan, Yes, the Enquirer has gotten some, quote, scoops over the years, but it paid for every single one of those scoops. There's no legitimate journalism that I know of that's come out of the National Enquirer since I've been doing journalism, and that's really the insidious part of this. And the unknown question, hopefully we will get the answer, is did they pay this fraud, if there was a fraud, and then so what are they going to do to get their money back if so? The idea that they were duped would only hold up if the entire story rested on one phone conversation between their, quote, senior reporter and this person, and you never actually had a face-to-face, because if there was a face-to-face, they would have known this is not the same cat. And that, in and of itself, is the kind of journalism that would get any reporter fired at any small daily. And this is beyond the pale.
But as you said, they don't do the regular kind of journalism. So I actually think the reason they folded so quickly is that they were duped, because they have fought lawsuits, when you can look at it and go, really? That's not the story. And they fought, legitimate claims against them, and then ended up having to settle something. Vigorously, they fought it. So the way that they just caved on this right away says to me, I think something really happened, and I'm dying to know, who did they talk to? How did this come together? I mean, it's bad news, but I think there's other layers to this that we don't know about.
Right.
But you know what? If you read their foul little apology, it really was half-baked. They drew our normal standards and this and that.
Oh, yeah, that was legally, but the wording was given to them by the lawyer. And I love the fact, by the way, that Katz came out of this figuring out how to have something for everybody else for years to come.
Still want to know how much they paid, though.
Yeah.
All right.